What is going on, guys? I am Consumer Tech Review, and today we're going to be doing a review of the Cooler Master M731. But if at any point during the video you want to check out this exact same mouse, there are Amazon links below for the US, UK, Canada, and international links, but let's jump into it. All right, so let's start off with what's in the box. So right away, you have your user manual. You have 3M grip tape for the left and right sides, and then the left and right click. You then get an alcohol pad with those to then clean the mouse before you put on those grip tapes, if you so choose. A USB-C cable for charging, and this is an ultralight cable, very good. A USB Type-C to USB converter, and then the M731 itself. Okay, but this ultralight wireless mouse comes in at only 59 grams, which is, it's very light. In fact, this is a full 10 grams lighter than the glorious Model D wireless. 69 grams versus 59 grams. This is also still slightly lighter than the Logitech G Pro Superlight. Not so super light after all, huh? Now this mouse also has Bluetooth, which is pretty cool because other mice at the similar weight class don't really have that. Now, how many times are you actually gonna use that? Probably not a lot. You're probably gonna use the dongle. However, it's cool that it has it. Okay, but this isn't just the review. This is how good it is in 2022 and maybe the beginning of 2023. Now, this mouse was released in July 2021 and it had quite a few issues at launch. However, a lot of them have been addressed, and we're gonna go over what has been addressed in this video. That's kind of the point of this video. Okay, so going over all the issues, the first one is difficulty updating firmware. You got squeaky clicks, double clicking, slam clicking, high motion latency, and high click latency. Those are all like problems that make this unusable, basically. Something that you're definitely not gonna wanna buy. Now, Cooler Master is claiming they fixed all of these issues, so we're gonna go into that today, and if they did fix all of those issues, well, this is going to be a very, very good mouse at a very good price point. Let's get into it. All right, for the build quality and the dimensions. Now, the majority of this is made out of ABS plastic. You do have rubber on the wheel, and then the feet are also PTFE. I'm not sure if they're 100% PTFE, but probably around 95%. It'll be right there. Now, the fit and finish is actually very good on this mouse. A lot of lightweight mice, they just don't feel that expensive. They don't feel substantial. And it's honestly hard to because we associate weight with well-built. This one, even though it's lightweight, there's no squeaks, there's no creaks, there's no rattles. This thing is incredibly solidly put together. And that really comes down to the way that it was built and then the overall manufacturing process. But this is very good. This feels like a substantial product, even though it is incredibly light. There's no loose pieces, there's no creaky pieces, like I said. That is great. Now, the bottom of this mouse, you can find a little compartment that you open up, and that gives you a little space for your USB dongle down there. That's nice, pretty common. Now, also there on the bottom, you get a DPI changing button, a switch that goes between your different connection modes, which are Bluetooth, cable, and then a USB dongle. And then you also get a pairing button for your Bluetooth specifically. All right, now the dimensions for the MM731 are 122.3 millimeters by 69 millimeters by 39.1 millimeters. Now, for my girlfriend, she has pretty small hands, and this felt comfortable for her. She uses a palm grip. I also use a palm grip, and for palm grips, this is very, very comfortable. So she has small hands. I have pretty normal sized hands. So if you do have normal sized hands, this would be pretty good. Now you can see, this is my palm grip. Again, normal sized hands, I'm 5'9", so whatever a normal sized hand would be for a 5'9" person, you know, this is it. So there we go. If you have large hands, I would still say this would be pretty good, especially compared to a lot of other mice that are super light, which are typically, they get a little bit smaller. So I would say this is great for all types of hand sizes. And even if you have very small hands, this is still gonna be good. Overall, this does feel similar to Corsair's Saber. However, I think overall this is a much better mouse than the Saber wireless. The comfort here is also very similar. This is a very comfortable mouse to use for long hours, especially if, again, you are that palm grip style person. Now, the cable that it comes with is, again, for charging, for wired connection, or as an extender for that USB dongle, and let's get a little bit more into that. Now, the cable itself is an ultralight cable, so that's great if you do wanna go wired. If you're in the middle of a game, your mouse dies, and you need to plug it in, you're not gonna be, you know, really feeling that cable pull, because you're obviously getting a wireless mouse because you don't want that. But even with the cable, and with most modern mice, you don't really feel cable pull because of that ultralight cable, which I really like. So that's great. But then the other thing with it is it acts as a USB extender essentially. So they have that USB-C to USB Type A port so that you can plug in the USB dongle into that from your charging cable, which is cool. So if you do have your PC way over there or way over here, this will kind of act as an extender for that, which is great because I do have my PC on my main setup about 6 feet away from where my mouse is. And we'll talk about the actual connection and how good it is from that distance in that section, but that's really cool, especially if you do need to have that act as an extender, and then let's say you need to charge it. All you're gonna do is pull that extender out, plug it in your mouse, and you're ready to go. So it adds quite a bit of functionality. If you don't need to use it, you never need to use it, but if you do, it's there, and that's great. All right, moving on to buttons and programmability. All right, now Cooler Master markets this as saying it has 6 buttons, but realistically, it's 5 usable buttons. They're counting the DPI switch down here on the bottom. I'm not really gonna count that. So we got our left click, our right click, our scroll wheel button, and then the 2 buttons on the left and the right side. Now, I'm someone who uses the left and the right side buttons all the time. If a mouse doesn't have that, I'm not using that mouse. So the left and the right mouse buttons are great. The buttons that are programmable for your main buttons, that's what we're gonna go over, are those 2 buttons on the left side. You don't have your left click programmable. That's not a programmable button, but you do have your scroll up, scroll down, scroll wheel click button, and then you do have your right side that you do have. You also have this mouse combo programmable thing where you can hold this down and click it, and it will kind of change different things that I believe that you can change. Now, overall, the buttons are great. I mean, it's a pretty common format at this point. However, the only thing that I wish this did have is that it had the scroll wheel going from the left and the right side buttons. I do wish this had that. I game, my main mouse is a Razer Basilisk V3 wired, so it's not a wireless mouse, but that is the mouse that just, my workhorse. That's gaming, that's editing, that's everything. My perfect mouse, and that has that, and I really like that, but I get it. This is a lightweight mouse. It's probably not gonna have it. All right, moving on to the sensor. Very important section. Now, like I said before, when this mouse launched, it had a lot of issues with the sensor and the firmware, like high motion latency, high click latency, stuff like that, stuff that would make it basically unusable, or you wouldn't wanna use it that much. So previously, before that, not great. After the firmware update, this has been great for gaming. It's seamless gaming, which is exactly what you want. The sensor on the MM731 is the PixArt PAW3370 sensor. Now, this sensor is very similar to the PixArt 3389 sensor, which you find on a lot of gaming mice out there. Now, this is not a sensor that is developed by Cooler Master like we do see from Logitech and from Razer, where they're designing and developing their own sensors. However, the 3389 is a fantastic sensor. It's very quick. We see it on a ton of mice. It's proven. And the 3370 is very similar to that one. It's basically gonna have the same performance, which is great overall. The sensor goes up to 19,000 DPI. Who's actually gonna use that amount of DPI? I don't know, but it does do it. This goes up to 400 IPS, which is great. And for acceleration, this has 50 Gs of acceleration. Now, this really comes into play with sudden quick whips, movement, stuff like that. So think COD, Battlefield, Fortnite, Apex, stuff like that. This mouse is gonna be great. It'll really handle quick flicks, really fast movements, stuff like that. It'll handle it very well. As for liftoff distance, this is less than 2 millimeters. This is pretty much standard, but this is also adjustable in the Cooler Master Plus. I think it's called Master Plus or something like that. In their software. All right, comfort and real life experience. Let's get into it. Now, first of all, it's very comfortable. I've said that before. I'm a palm grip. It's very comfortable for palm grip people. However, let's talk about the grip tape because I actually really liked it. So the grip tape goes basically on this side, the left click, the right click, and then the right side. Now, the grip tape is very nice. It's rubberized, and it does do a really good job of being more grippy, which is its main purpose and point. It has a very cool design, how there's kind of like lines going kind of this way forward with the mouse. And that's the only con that I don't like. I wish that it kind of had a pattern or lines going the other way. So instead of having your finger go with the pattern that's etched into the rubber, I would rather have it be a pattern that goes against your hand, a more rough pattern, which would give you even more grip. But again, these are very small things. But overall, with gaming on this thing for a few hours at one time gaming for a few hours, this is great. It's very comfortable. It's incredibly light, so your hands never really getting tired. 59 grams, that's incredibly light. I mean, it's really light. The gaming experience was incredibly fluid, and for connection issues, basically didn't have any. And we're gonna get into that into the connectivity part, but really fantastic. But now the switches and the scroll wheel. This gets kind of a little bit interesting here. Now the switches are LK 2.0 optical switches, and they're definitely a more interesting switch out there. These are rated for 70 million clicks. They're optical switches. They're probably gonna be incredibly reliable. I'm having no issues with double clicking, anything like that. They've been very solid. But the clicks, like I said, are a little bit more interesting. They're definitely on the more quieter and muted side. They're not crisp, but that's not a bad thing. I actually really enjoy this, and during gaming, it just has a little bit more of a subdued sound. Now, these are heavier than I'm used to when I use a Razer Basilisk V3, which is using the version 2 optical switches from Razer, and those switches are absolutely better. Okay, Razer's optical switches are the best switches in the mouse industry. Like, that's it. And all the issues that they did have with accidental clicks and double clicking and stuff like that, it seems like it's been completely addressed, which is great. Okay, now the scroll wheel. This is not the heaviest scroll wheel I've felt in the world. It's not the lightest. It's kind of right there in between. Again, like I said, it's rubberized and it does have some nice tactility. I think I would prefer a little bit more sharp tactility. The weight of the tactility is good, but I would prefer a little bit more of a sharp tactility. Although I would say compared to a lot of mice, even, name brand mice, some mice just feel incredibly mushy. This one doesn't feel mushy. It does feel slower than, again, Razer or Logitech, but their scroll wheel game is very good. So overall, this is great. For gaming, it's nice and accurate. However, the only thing that I would say, this is kind of weird that it's not like this, is that the rubber does have a texture. It has lines that go this way, horizontal. And that's fine, but they're not incredibly pronounced. And I really would have preferred a very pronounced, aggressive pattern, something that I can really grip onto. I never had my fingers slipping off this or anything like that, but I just prefer having a more substantial mouse wheel. This one just kind of feels like it's there and it works and has nice tactility, but it doesn't feel like you're really gripping something. But obviously that's just personal preference. All right, now the RGB, there's really not much to say about the RGB. You can change static modes, cycling, breathing, stuff like that. Any color you really want, you can do it on the app. You can also change it without an app, I believe, or the software. Overall, it's just that very small square. I'll actually turn it on for you. And you can see, there it is, all lit up. I mean, there's RGB. At this point, why even do RGB? Just save the weight. However, there is RGB and it works fine, and well, that's pretty much it. Okay, but maybe one of the most important parts of the entire video, battery, connectivity, and software. Okay, now like I said, this has the 2.4 gigahertz USB dongle, which is probably what you're gonna use for wireless gaming. It has Bluetooth as well, which is kind of cool. That adds to the use case scenarios that you could use this for beyond just gaming. And then you can use it in its wired mode with its nice ultralight cable, and that is a USB-C, which is great. Okay, now this claims to get 190 hours of usage in Bluetooth with RGB off. That's kind of like the marketing that Cooler Master does, which is funny because that's probably not how people are gonna be using this. For the USB dongle, it gets 72 hours, and that again is with that LED off. Now, personally, I would just turn it off. There's no point in having it on. When your hand is on it, you're not gonna see it, and it's a wireless mouse anyway, so when it's just sitting on your desk, it's probably gonna be off. So just turn the RGB off. You're not gonna use it. 72 hours is a good amount of time, and USB-C, not a big deal. But honestly, at this point, battery life of mice is just so incredibly good, even in lightweight mice. However, it's been great with just touching it and it immediately comes on. I've used mice before that takes a while, which is really annoying. But this one doesn't, so that's great. Okay, but probably the most important thing to talk about now is the connection, and more specifically, the wireless connection with the 2.4 gigahertz USB dongle. Now, I had my dongle plugged in 6 feet away from where my mouse was and kind of behind a bookshelf, so not the best connection for a 2.4 gigahertz USB dongle. During about an hour to 2 of straight gaming, I had maybe 3 or 4 connection blips for half a second, and then it came right back. Now, that, you might sound like, is that bad or is that good? It's very good. For that far away, behind stuff, that's very good. Now, after I plugged in the USB kind of extender thing and then plugged the USB dongle into the cable that this comes with, no issues at all. 0 issues. So if you do have your PC closer, you're not gonna have any issues at all. If your PC is on your desk, no issues. If it's right under your desk, no issues. My desk is pretty big and my PC is way on the other side. That's mainly for B-roll purposes, but I mean, connection is fantastic. I had no connection issues with a reasonable distance with the USB dongle, but even at an unreasonable distance where it's kind of like, that's weird that you're doing that, still fantastic. 3 to 4 little blips in 1 to 2 hours of straight gaming, that is very good. Okay, but moving on to price and the value, guys, this gets good. Now this comes in at around 80 bucks, which is a great price because you think the G Pro Superlight at like 120, and this is lighter than that. And also currently, right now on Amazon, remember I can't control the future, but right now on Amazon, the black one is sitting at 75 bucks with a coupon that gives you $15 off, which means you could get this, well, the black one for 60 bucks. That is an incredible price. And that kind of shows the value here. This came out and it flopped, right? Wasn't the best mouse. Then they fixed all of the stuff, and because it flopped in the beginning, you now can get it at a very low price point. You still have an incredibly lightweight mouse, a great connection, fantastic comfort, great build quality, and the most important thing, it's still incredibly fast for gaming. So overall, do I recommend this? Absolutely. I think it's a great buy right now and maybe one of the best values right now. Again, if you want to check it out, there are Amazon links below for the US, UK, Canada, and international links. And for all my subscribers out there, do you enjoy mouse reviews? How we're gonna do this moving forward is we're gonna do different style of reviews midweek. So every Sunday, it's gonna be keyboard content. If you're watching a video that comes out on Sunday, it's gonna be keyboard related. And then midweek, we might throw in some videos that might be mouse reviews. They might be, well, I'm not gonna give it away, but maybe some other reviews. We'll see how you guys like them. So definitely comment, like, or dislike if you don't like it. And then moving forward, you guys will kind of control what reviews are sprinkled in here and there. And you guys really get to choose on how the channel kind of develops, which I think is very cool and it's exciting. So let me know if you enjoy mouse reviews below, or let me know if you don't enjoy them, or let me know what you wish that I would review, what kind of content midweek. And then we'll continue doing that keyboard content every Sunday at 8 a.m. But this is Consumer Tech Review, and I'll see you guys in the next video.